Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let's take a look at 10 interesting new features coming in macOS Ventura. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to macmost.com/Patreon. There you can read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So when macOS Ventura comes out in the fall, there's going to be changes and new features in many apps. And I've already showed you some of those in places like Mail, Notes, Reminders, and in the new System Preferences or Settings app. But there are lots of other new features sprinkled throughout macOS Ventura. Let me show you some of them. So whenever you're playing video in Ventura, or in fact listening to any audio, you can get something called live captions. This will take the audio and try to give you the text on the screen. So it's doing it live. You can turn this on in System Settings, go to Accessibility. From there go to Live Captions and you can see it's beta. I'm going to turn it on here and you can see here's where it appears. Now unfortunately this doesn't work very well with screen capture. So I'm going to switch over to a camera on the screen right here and we can see it in action. I'm going to start playing this video. And as you can see, it's going to try to show the captions there at the bottom of the screen. And the results are kind of laughable sometimes. It's definitely early in the beta here and there's a lot of improvement that needs to be made for this to be effective. One of the things you can do here, in addition to moving this window around, is you can actually stop live captions and then turn on the microphone mode. And this will actually pick up your voice from the microphone or the voice of whoever else is in the room talking to you. And you can see the words that they're saying on your screen.
Hi, this is me speaking live.
Now you notice here in the settings for this there's also a setting for turning this on for FaceTime. So you can use this in FaceTime. You can see the words that the other person is speaking. Now while we're here in the accessibility settings, if we look in audio we can see that there's background sounds. This is the functionality that we got on the iPhone in iOS 15 to play background sounds and now we have it on our Mac. So we can choose the different sounds here. We can choose the level and other settings and have that turned on. So that could be useful if you need background sounds to be able to focus, or you can use them simply as noise generators, maybe to help you get to sleep. Now as always there are two different types of dictation in macOS. There's the regular dictation and under accessibility there is voice control. You can find that here under Motor and you can turn that on. Once you have that on, and you can see I've got it on here, I have the little control. Now there's a new trick in voice control for the dictation inside of it. And that is you can now spell things out. Let me spell out this word. Colon, space key, spelling mode, A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Dictation mode. Period. We also get a couple new apps in macOS that were previously only on the iPhone or iPad. One of those is Clock. So the Clock app looks exactly like it does on the iPad. You get this nice view here with the world and different world clocks. You get an alarm and you can set various alarms for different times. And you get stopwatch. You could start, stop, reset. You also get a timer and you could set a timer and you can change the sound that plays at the end. You could also ask Siri to do it. Set a timer for 5 minutes. In the Photos app or almost any app where you can look at images, you can now copy the subject of the image as well as the whole image itself. So here I am with this image here and I can control click it, two-finger click on a trackpad or right click on a mouse and I get copy just as before. But now I get copy subject. And when I actually hover over that you can see it outline the subject. So it's not always going to be perfect but it does get the subject right here. I'll do copy subject. Now when I switch into another app and I paste, you can see it pastes just the subject there, which could be useful in all sorts of different situations. A new feature in Safari when you're creating passwords is now when you click on the password that you're about to fill in, you get this thing called Other Options. And you can edit the password. You can choose your own password. You can set it to something easy to type or using no special characters, so getting rid of the dashes. So it's handy for those poorly made websites that restrict the number of characters you can use in a password or don't let you use dashes or something like that. Also in the Photos app, now when you see hidden and recent albums here, both of those are locked using your regular password or Touch ID. So it's not as easy for somebody to get into those in case you forgot to log out of your Mac and somebody else has access. There's been some changes to Spotlight. One interesting change is that now when you search for something and say you find a file like this, before you could use the Tab key and get a preview of the file on the right. That no longer works. Instead you use Spotlight now. So I will arrow down to one of these. Let's go with this first one. Use spacebar and now Spotlight works to show you a preview of what you have selected. If you go down to another file it changes to show you the preview for that. Having the preview in Spotlight was handy, but having it in Quick Look is basically the same thing. And I know there were people before that complained that Quick Look didn't work in Spotlight. And if you think it might make it harder to find images, well, note now when you search and you come up with results that are images, like here, you actually get a section like this that says Photos from apps. You have Show More, but you have these little previews here and you can go through and select them. Another change to Spotlight is now you can search for both shortcuts and focus modes and execute them right from Spotlight. So for instance in Shortcuts I have one called Uptime right here and I will search for it and I can see it right there and I can actually hit return and it will run that shortcut. So a new easier way to launch shortcuts without having a long list of them right here you have to choose from. And you could do the same thing for focus modes. So I have a focus mode called Evening and I can go down to that and turn on the evening focus mode. And speaking of focus modes, if you go to System Settings and go to Focus, you've got everything pretty much the same way it was before. But now you can also add focus filters. What do those do? Well, for certain apps you can filter out what's shown. So for instance for Calendar I can choose for the evening filter here to only show me certain calendars and not others. So my work calendar might be off in evening filter and others can be on. For mail for instance I could have certain accounts that are on and others that are off. Same thing for messages and the people that I get messages from, and in Safari for different tab groups. And speaking of Safari tab groups, you can now pin tabs inside of a tab group. I know a lot of people previously complained that you could only pin tabs in the ungrouped tabs. But now each tab group can actually have its own pinned tabs as well. So there are a bunch of new features to look forward to. I'm actually going to have another video like this one with even more features coming soon. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.